Welcome back to Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. I am joined by Artanicus, the Cursed Paladin, and Lord Morbius. Why don't you guys say hi?
And
Hello,
Victorian
everyone.
Paladins.
And today we are discussing the first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game that Lord Morbius ran for us, which he titled Shattered Fortress. Is that correct, or was the title longer than that?
The Shattered Fortress.
Welcome, heroes and villains, to Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. Take a moment, relax, stop your bickering, and just enjoy the show.
It's fun.
How'd you come up with the campaign idea in general?
Actually, that's kind of offbeat. I was thinking about a World War II movie I saw called The Holcroft Covenant, except it was about Nazis fleeing after the war and hiding in Argentina, which doesn't have any application at all to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. But what if it was like, say, evil witches that had sold their soul to one of the demon princes? And from that germ forward, I just started piecing it together. The Shattered Fortress, I found a random picture on a Google image search of the ruins of a castle and went with that. You've got a protracted campaign where you've got 13 members of a covenant, 13 because it's an unlucky number and they're supposed to be evil witches, broken up into stages where you'll fight them one or two at a time. At the end, all the surviving ones will come together for the big final boss fight. Pretty much straightforward after that.
Now, I'm pretty sure Cuddy's background was developed before the game started, whereas mine was I kind of developed it as we played. So how did you integrate people's backgrounds when, like Cuddy's background, who he had before the game started, and mine, who I kind of developed as we played?
My style of game mastering, I have the original setup, the world setting, the places in it. I have the bad guys fully fleshed out, what their goals are, what they're trying to do, whether you interact with them or not. This is what they're up to as non player characters. And each time you interact with the NPCs, the response is whatever would be most logical for them to do. So none of it's planned out in advance. Wherever you decide to go, whoever's in that area is who you're going to encounter. If you decide to go somewhere else, it'll be totally different people doing totally different stuff. So it's all reactionary to what the players do. That way, I'm not forcing anybody into any kind of bottleneck. I'm not forcing anybody into a predetermined scenario. It is a world of potentials, depending on how you want to do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as the old saying goes. In the case with Cuddy, he's got people that he is related to, people that he knows, friends from the past. Those show up here and there based on whatever they're up to at the time. Like I said, I decided their opinions, their motivations, and what they were working on at the beginning. And from there, it changes in response to what you do. If you never interact with them, they go on about their business. You may never encounter them, but you may hear tales later on of what they're doing, which may inspire you to either interact with them or not, depending on what they're up to. That's how your character's sister became involved. And once you started scoring successes against the bad guys, how they went after her as a side target, try to use her as leverage against you, even though she was an NPC as well. It all depends on what you do.
You had a lot of PDF files that you gave us over the course of the game. Would those PDFs have been actual handouts, and even the Elven magazine ones, if we had been sitting around the same table?
If we'd been sitting around a table in a dining room playing the same game, uh, as part of my game prep, I would have gone to my local Kinko's and run off copies of the PDF files, staple them together, and hand them to you as you find them. For the historical books, the magic books, things about the background stories, I would have printed those out on some parchment paper, like they use for resumes. If I had enough time, I'd make some kind of hard cardboard binding for it. Decorate it up with studs or whatever, and make it look more like a medieval fantasy spell book or an ancient tome with all the information about various organizations and orders of wizards and things in the past. Just add a touch of flavor. Whenever you find a scroll, I've drop an actual scroll on the table. If you found a key to something, I've got skeleton keys in my collection. I'll drop one of those out there for you to find. Same thing with the occasional dagger or sword. In my experience over the years, that players love tangible handouts they can pick up, manipulate.
It's always nice to have a couple of little goodies to mess around with in one shape or form.
Like Playoff Magazine.
Oh, I'll admit, I enjoyed the joke about it. I got the reference, and as such, I did enjoy it overall.
You've got the
But it
playoff
did
advisor.
surprise me.
You've got the playoff advisor with, people writing in with questions and every answer is a joke. You've got the cartoon section. You've got actual advertisements from Playboy magazine that I cut and paste in there for various fashion, alcohol ads, things like that. I even got a section for back issues you can order.
Yeah,
It was rather detailed, I thought.
it was indeed.
If this was based off of twisting a World War II movie into a D&D campaign and making them witches instead of Nazis, how'd you come up with 13 different personalities for the 13 bad guys?
Well, I can crank out non-player characters literally by the dozen. Not just a row of stats with a name on it, but who they are, where they came from, and what they're up to. 3-point step. You've got the head of the coven, which is a lich, who increased the lich powers by selling the soul from the phylactery to a demon lord. You've got a vampire. You've got just plain spellcaster type witches. You've got undead creatures as witches. I mean, each one's different. If you've been doing as many years as I have, it comes natural to you after a while. I remember back when I very first started, I was in the 5th grade. And every encounter I put in one of the games I tried to make, well, I started out just using the store bought modules. And when I started making my own modules, I was literally taking plagiarized encounters from store bought modules, like encounter 17, encounter 4 from this one, and made up my own adventures. And later on, I started making up my own stuff as I grew up through junior high and into high school. It's a evolving skill set. In high school, I was writing my own short stories, just making it up as I go. That greatly aided my ability to write encounter scenarios and create characters on the fly. You remember session 0, where I introduced my character for group 1 for Artie?
Yeah.
While other people were talking to Artie, sorting out their characters, I started with a blank sheet and just made up all that crap with a few image searches right there on the spot.
Yep. And speaking of that character, your ex-wife is on the field.
Most of my characters, I develop the backgrounds as, even if I have a background beforehand, I tend to develop my characters' backgrounds as I play.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I noticed. Of course, I took the easy way out with the character I'm playing in Artie, the game. I'm an amnesiac. I'm letting him figure out my background and present clues that I have to figure out what it is as I go.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure a few things out for it. It's like,
How did. Was it hard? Did. I know we weren't that chaotic. The most chaotic thing you had to really adapt to is adjusting to having a missing player for a good portion of the game. But how did you adapt this game, and how do you normally adapt to characters doing random shit? We didn't really do random shit, I will admit that, but it does happen.
Well, I did burn a town partway down. So that was sort of random.
And as you recall, there are consequences to your actions. As I
Yeah,
recall, there were wanted posters up for you for burning down part of the town and killing a bunch of people as the game went on.
yeah, but that was the NPC and not my actual character, but he's not going anywhere near that area ever again.
Well, when you anger the bad guys, the villains of the game, they will come after you like they did Fjook's sister's character, the NPC. When you
Yeah,
burn down part of the town, wanted posters go up offering gold piece rewards that occasionally have bounty hunters come looking for you. When you make friends with a dragon, they may help you out if it's in their best interest to do so. If you make enemies of a dragon, they'll go out of their way to hunt you down.
yeah, but
We did not need to fight a dragon and a dragon's mate, Cuddy.
hey, at least I decided to stop eating the dragon's heart, or come out of the corpse, and then reanimate the corpse to burst the bait. It did help.
Well, like I
Uh,
said, your actions do have consequences.
Indeed.
In some cases, taking no action will have consequences. Because there are times when you need to do something, and if you don't do it, well, you end up becoming overrun or infected with a disease or whatever's going on.
Yeah. Of course, the one little chaotic thing you threw at us definitely messed with us for a bit there, and that was that goddamn bloody. What was it? The, the creature that was based off the thing.
Oh, yes, the Shoggoth from Call of
Yes,
Cthulhu.
let's go. Yeah.
And depending on your interactions with that, that could screw with your mental health state.
Yeah,
You end up
I
with
remember.
anxieties, paranoia, having nightmares where you wake up in a nightmare only to have the nightmare still going on and wake up again. How did you like that aspect, by the way?
I had fun with it.
Both the two first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game had have the similarity of bits of dealing with Cthulhu in one way or another.
The original AD&D had the Cthulhu mythos and the deities and demigods rulebook until they got sued by the Lovecraft estate and had to remove them.
No, they got sued by the people that made Call of Cthulhu, not the Lovecraft estate.
That's true. That was Chaosium that sued them. When I was thinking Lovecraft estate, I was thinking about Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien estate. That's how the Balrog got removed and all that kind of stuff from the original AD&D.
Uh, Basically, you mentioned to us before that you had another game in the works. I was just wondering, was it going to be around the same area? Were we going to be able to use the same characters? Or were we, when you did do it, did we just go with a whole brand new set? Since I've got ideas in the works.
Actually, what I'm working on is something I'm calling Easy RTB, RPG right now. Uh, that's a set of rules that takes up 4 pages. The
Okay.
idea is that the mechanics are extremely simple and you can do anything with it. You should be able to create a character from scratch in 10 minutes if you've never picked it up before. If you've used it before, you should be able to create a character from scratch in 5 minutes or less. And of course, you can convert the characters you got now to the same rules. And I'm going to try to get you guys, if you're willing, to test the mechanic things, because the role playing is always the same for any game. It's the mechanics are different, to see if this is easier, faster, and facilitates more fun in the game. Eventually, what I hope to do is have this as an a PDF download that's free, available on internet from various sources. No money, just click on it and download. That's a side project I'm working on.
Okay.
And it's not just going to be fantasy. There's going to be a fantasy version of it. There's going to be a science fiction version of it. There's going to be a present day version of it. Spies, secret agents, private investigators, things like that. There's going to be a horror version of it. Vampires, Frankenstein, Cthulhu, that sort of thing. If I can get this to work properly, I'll be happy with it as one of my little pet projects. That's what I'm working on next.
So as I end all my interviews, is there anyone or anything you would like to shout out this time, Morbius?
Anyone who hasn't done so yet, I'd like for you to subscribe to my friend's YouTube channel, Fjook Enterprises.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining me. It was fun.
Glad to be here.
Yep. Always a blast.
I will talk to you guys on